future trends, deep insights, industry leaders. This is the iGaming Next podcast with your host, Pierre Lindh.
I think we need to come up with an actual intro here at some point. But anyway, we are back with rapid fire news. Nico, how are you this morning?
I'm still thrilled up. I'm so pumped up, thrilled up, because last week has been crazy. Long story short, last week has been a week which we have never seen before, right? And it's crazy times within our industry. And as said, I'm thrilled, pumped up. How about you? And how are you doing, Pierre?
Yeah. I mean, pumped up to say the least. And what a week it has been. I mean, we're talking about massive hacks. We're talking about attempted assassination, Nostradamus on the stock market, and Mickey Mouse going into sports betting. I mean, what a crazy week it has been indeed. But I am doing fantastic, Nico. We have just a couple of days left now. We are in the number of days counting down to our major conference, iGaming Next, and obviously our team here is very, very busy in general, and we are kind of making sure that we have everything covered before this conference and so on. It's the first event we do now in 18 months, so that you get a little bit rusty after a while not doing events, so need to make sure that we have things covered. So yeah, I'm very excited.
And fingers crossed that each and everything will work out at least as planned, right? With respect to all the COVID requirements, restrictions, so that you will be able to make the event happen as you're planning to do so. And fingers crossed as well that the actual numbers will outperform your wildest dreams. This is all I wish you to happen. This is all I wish you to happen, because I know for sure how much work you put into your company and these kinds of events. And as said, fingers crossed.
Yeah, thank you, Nico. Thank you. I appreciate the nice comments. So shall we jump straight into what's happened this week? Because again, I mean, it's been it's another week in our wonderful iGaming industry with all these crazy things that's happening. But where shall we start, Nico?
Yeah, for sure, we should start with the attempted assassination of the Israeli billionaire Teddy Sagi, which has been not all over the news, to be honest, because there are a lot of rumors going around about the why and how. One thing we know for sure, that Teddy Sagi has not been murdered, and fingers crossed he will have a long-lasting life. So that's the one thing we for sure wish him. And so, as some people might not be aware who Teddy Sagi actually is, he's one of the guys, one of the founders of Playtech. He's one of those guys who are dealing in the background and running the overall businesses, right? So some of the people, of course, know him, but he's not the one standing in the foreground, right? He paved the way for the industry. He's also the owner of Camden Market in London as well. And there's one rumor floating around that Russians literally, paid an assassination, a guy from Azerbaijan, and authorities picked up these rumors and warned Teddy, so he was able to escape this attempted murder while he was staying in Cyprus. And as said, this is just crazy news. And as said also, just fingers crossed that each and everyone in our industry will be healthy as long as possible.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, Nico. There are rumors flying around here. One of the rumors of the motivation for this attempted assassination was that it's a business partner of Sagi, a Russian business partner who someone to assassinate him. Another rumor that there is at the same time is that it's an Iranian plot. Essentially, Sagi is Israeli, and the rumor is that the Iranians are targeting Israelis essentially, and those with a high profile. So like you're saying, it's unclarity exactly what has happened, but what is the fact is that there has been an attempted assassination on Sagi, the founder of Playtech, which is one of the major service providers within our industry, a multi-billion euro company who has a lot of legacy in this industry. So I guess we can only wait and see if there are more reports coming out there, if there will ever be any clarity in what happened on this story. But again, for our industry, this is of course disturbing news. But fortunately, this ended well.
Exactly. So how do we actually continue? Right? How do we actually continue? But in the end, we must continue. German regulation. Funny thing.
That's always fun to talk about.
The German regulator appointed a dynamic duo to actually run the authorities in Halle. So it's Mr. Benter, who worked for the Ministry of Interior of the North German state of Schleswig-Holstein. Schleswig-Holstein has one of the more operator-friendly states in Germany, and they have been issuing casino and sports betting licenses already back in 2012. So a lot of the operators, European operators, actually applied for Schleswig-Holstein license, so they have been able to actually offer their casino, slots, and sports betting services in Germany, at least in Schleswig-Holstein, and then they use their MGA license to actually offer their services overall in Germany. So Mr. Benter, for sure, is the operator-friendly guy, while Mr. Schwanke had been working, or he had the position of head of the Hamburg, which is a city-state gambling authority, and he is more seen as I wouldn't state it as a suspicious part, but he is balancing the overall with Mr. Bentner. So for sure, this dynamic duo, it will be quite interesting to see how they actually run the services. But one thing is quite interesting, that they released a press statement that the overall authority in Halle will be up and running in July 2022. So as of now, within the time span of at least 1 year, as the overall jurisdiction in Germany started by July 2021, it will take them 1 year to put the overall authority fully up and running. So for sure, we will see something in Germany as well.
Yeah, so it's a kind of like a good cop, bad cop situation happening over there. What's your expectations now, Nico, as as we are now a couple of months into the re-regulation in Germany? Will the market recover? What's your thoughts now on Germany? Because obviously the operators have been having to sacrifice most of their German revenue. Will they be able to rectify?
So first of all, from the sports betting part, we are already in a pretty good regulatory framework, but this is run by a different entity. It's located in Darmstadt, and they already started dealing with regulations back in 2013, 2014. And it took them quite a while to actually, get into touch and see that it needs a dialogue with the operators to actually agree on things which make sense, which also the operators follow. So they literally paved the way with the regulatory, authorities and the operators, starting a dialogue. So if you just think about, okay, it took them at least 5 to 6 years to set up the overall process. I don't expect Halle to be fully up and running in the near future. Of course, we should see some lessons learned also for the overall licensing process, and all the sports betting license holders. They often also run a casino as well, or slots. So they are quite aware of the overall licensing process and what it actually takes to being granted a license. And this will be a good thing, as they also have some lessons learned. So as long as each and every partner of this dialogue will be able to actually follow a dialogue and is willing to open up a dialogue, then we will for sure see a very strong market in Germany as well. But as soon as this dialogue will be not able to take, as either the operators are not willing to talk to the authorities, which I doubt, or the authorities will not be able or wanting to actually speak to the operators, which I also doubt as well. But these are the two heavyweights which just need to get along as of now. And as soon as we can overcome that obstacle, I'm pretty sure the German market will be a decent market as well.
Yeah, interesting. It's the $1 million question, I guess, how this all will play out, because the German regulators, other regulators in Europe are looking closely at this model, of course. And it seems almost that the regulators in Europe are competing who can be the toughest. And obviously the Germans are taking it one step further now. So it will be interesting to see how it all plays out as we go along. But I'm sure there'll be more updates on this topic.
Yeah. And heading over to another regulation, which we have just seen been working for 1 week, as we are at the 8th of October, heading over to the Netherlands. They just established their regulatory framework as a valid option, and only licensed operators will be able to actually work and to operate in the Netherlands. And they have already seen and overcome one obstacle with the self-exclusion program, which has not been up and running by the 1st of October. So they for sure had to, I wouldn't state it like clean out the closet, but for sure this was one of the critical paths of the regulatory framework, which they needed to fix very, very fast, which they did. And with a press release just this week's Tuesday on the 5th, they stated, okay, it has been fixed. But there you can see that these critical parts of a self-exclusion service has been involved in the overall regulatory framework. And as soon as there's a malfunction, then the business just stops there. From a player protection point of view, of course, this makes sense, a lot of sense. And how it actually played out and has been played by the Dutch regulator was good as well. So, and as said, they have been able to fix it quite soon, very, very soon. So as of now, for sure, we will see even more operators applying for license and in the Netherlands as well. And what is very specific in the Netherlands, it's their so-called cooling off period. What does a cooling off period means? So we've seen, and I'm pretty sure you will give us some insights on this one as well, as we touched on that topic last week already, why some of the operators actually pulled out of the market. So with the cooling off period, it's pretty simple. As long as you're operating in the Netherlands and not holding a license, this amount of time will be added to you being able to actually enter the market, although you already hold a license in the future, and then you won't be able to actually deal in the market and to operate in the market. So that's why Kindred, Leo Vegas pulled out of the market to not have this cooling off period added to their, now you're able to actually operate in the market as your licensed entity. So this gives us a little bit of light into the why Leo Vegas and Kindred already pulled out of the market. And you're quite familiar with the numbers and the EBITDA losses of Kindred. But besides this EBITDA loss, there's also some implications on the stock markets as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Kindred is the most interesting example here. And we touched on it already last week. But again, to reiterate, I mean, Kindred sent out, just to reiterate what Kindred did here last week. First, they went out with a press release saying that they would continue to operate in the Netherlands, which was a shock to the industry. Because at the same time, Betsson and Leo Vegas and others had already announced that they are pulling out the market until they are granted a license. But the Kindred chose to go against this, and it was as a surprise to everyone. But then, less than a day later, they retracted that decision and decided to pull out of the market. And you can see why they didn't want to pull out of this market, because the Netherlands is a big market for Kindred. They announced in the press release where they decided to pull out of the market. They disclosed that this would mean roughly a 12 million pound EBITDA loss per month. And then, then the natural question is, can we put that into perspective? What does this mean for the group? And the total EBITDA made per month in Kindred is roughly 38 million if you take the average of the last quarter. And that means that essentially Kindred is losing 1/3 of their entire EBITDA. That does not mean that they are losing 1/3 of their revenue. It's important to remember this, right? But it indicates that the Dutch market was very profitable to Kindred, that they had good margins in this market. And it can also indicate that this covers a lot of the losses that they are making in the US, which they aren't really disclosing in the quarterly reports now. So 1/3 of EBITDA gone. How is this going to affect the running of the company going forward? There's a lot of question marks here, but one thing is definitely true, and that is that the shareholders are absolutely taking note of this. And share price has fallen north of 30% in the last couple of weeks since the minister in the Netherlands announced this thing about the cooling off period. And that's quite interesting, because these losses are seemingly temporary, right? They will be granted a license in the Netherlands, and the expectation that they will be granted a license will be somewhere around Q2, early Q3 of next year. They are indicating springtime, but there's also something called the Hofbauer's Law, and it's a very important thing to know about the Hofbauer's Law in your normal life, because the Hofbauer's Law, it states that things always take longer time than what you think, even when taking into account Hofbauer's Law, right? So even when you think that things are going to take longer than announced, they still take longer time. So let's see if that is true in this case. We have no way of knowing that, of course, but I don't think it's going to be, they will get their license granted in a shorter period of time, let's say that. So 30% loss on the stock market, albeit they have lost 30% of their EBITDA, but this is seemingly temporary. Now, when they are activated in the Netherlands again, the question is, how quick is it going to take for them to build up the same revenues in the Netherlands? Not only the same revenues, but the same EBITDA in that market, because obviously there's the tax implications coming into play now, and a lot more different dynamics. And another thing in the Netherlands, and correct me if I'm wrong here now, Nico, and it may be that this needs to be fact checked, but I'm pretty sure that once you are granted a license, you are not allowed to work with the database that you have built up in the Netherlands while being unregulated. So in other words, if you have 500,000 accounts in the Netherlands signed up in the last 10 years, you're not allowed to use that database. Now, please fact check this and this as evidence, but I'm fairly certain that this is the case in the Netherlands. So that means that you have to start from scratch, essentially, if that is true. So a lot of dynamics at play here.
What might be the underlying for this for this fact is that now other KYC regulations come into play, which means that you have to fully identify your players. Maybe within the database you build up while being operating in the Netherlands, people had been able to actually spend money and to use your operations, use your or participate at your offerings, and not needing or not having the need to actually run a fully KYC process. So maybe this might be the reason, because that's pretty much the same we're seeing in Germany, right? With the regulatory framework, also KYC requirements change a little bit towards the so-called beneficial owner of an account. What does the beneficial owner of an account mean? First of all, it's a legal phrase, beneficial owner. Beneficial owner literally means that the person topping up the account, using the account for the playing activities is also the one signing up for the account as well. So if Pierre Lindh signed up for an account, Pierre Lindh is depositing money towards this account. It shouldn't be Nico Jansen using this account. That's pretty much what a beneficial owner is. And if this is also applying for the Dutch regulation as well, I'm pretty sure that you can, of course, still use your database, but all the customers which you already have within your database need to run the full KYC process. And if, of course, if a customer doesn't want to run the full KYC process, you're not able to offer your slots offerings or sports betting offerings to that specific customer. So it's not starting from scratch, but all your customers need to run the overall KYC process.
Right. Understandable. And also, this it will be very interesting to see what Kindred is going to do with their investments into the US market. They have as a goal to take market share in the high single digits in the states where they operate. But the indications from the numbers that are being released is that they are operating in the very low single digits, or even below a single digit market share in some states that they're operating at the moment. And this is an expensive experiment, and presumably Kindred will be looking at how they can rectify their EBITDA now. So the question is, what are they going to do with the investments into the US as we go forward here now in the next year? Are they going to continue pushing? I mean, at the end of the day, you look at Kindred from all angles, and it just seems to be the perfect acquisition target. I mean, they are at a discount at the moment. They have licenses in the US. They have a great team. They have a good brand, solid brand, all of this. And I cannot see a possibility where an American media house or land-based casino is not taking note of the fact that they can be sold at a discount at the moment. It just seems clear as day to me, but maybe there's something that I'm missing. But it seems like the perfect acquisition target for anyone who wants to establish a B2B in the US market at the moment, and who don't want to spend, tens of billions to get to that space. Yeah, there isn't that many other targets out there at the moment. it will be interesting to see. It's my prediction. I think Kindred will be acquired, especially like even more so now. I think I just cannot see it not happening.
Yeah, especially as the stock market price has gone down a little bit, which makes it even more interesting to actually, buy a company. So for sure, and as we have seen, a lot of the other operators are literally topping up their pockets with, issuing bonds like Leo Vegas just did in Stockholm and Nasdaq. They topped up their pockets with 50 million in fresh cash. I'm pretty sure 50 million won't be enough to actually buy Kindred. But this is something we've seen for quite some weeks. Companies specifically aiming to being listed. The payment solution provider Nuvei has just been listed yesterday at the New York Stock Exchange, at the official Nasdaq. We've seen PaySafe being listed. As said, we've seen Leo Vegas topping up their pockets. Better Collective topping up their pockets. So there's a lot of going on behind the scenes, and for sure we will see even further M&A activities, especially as there is quite a lot of money out there, cheap money, if you just take into account the interest rates, which are now being paid on the official financial markets and finance markets. But just staying there with the bigger companies and with the US, Evolution, one of your most beloved companies as well, they just entered the US market as well. So they just signed distribution partnerships with Betway. So they will now be able to offer their RNG, random number generating casino games using Betway as their distribution channel in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So what are your thoughts about this one, having the heavyweight of Evolution entering the US premises, the promised land as well?
Well, I think Evolution has already established a foothold in the US since the previous, and it's their biggest growth market. It's been over the last year. If you look at the percentage-wise, how much they are growing quarter over quarter in the US on the live side of things, particularly. And so, Evolution is in a very unique position in the US as they are exclusively operating on the live side of things. There is only Evolution who are offering live casino in North America at the moment, and so they have a monopoly there, right? It's and you can ask yourself why is that? It seems strange that there's only one live provider in the US. Well, the answer to that question is again the infrastructure that's needed to build studios in every single state where you operate. The licensing that it takes in order to activate these players, and obviously coming to terms with the operators as well. Evolution is in such a strong position. They have so much tailwind that operators don't need to work with more than one live studio. Evolution already covers the needs for a live studio. It's not like on the RNG side where every game is different from each other. Most of the games on the live side are basic games. You play blackjack or you play roulette, and then of course Evolution and other studios are spicing things up with additional offering, where they produce these game shows, for example, or they take traditional games like blackjack or roulette and they just make them exciting. Like there's lightning roulette, of course, on Evolution side, and then there's quantum blackjack of Playtech, for example. But look at Playtech, as we discussed here previously with Sagi, which is the main competitor on the live side of Evolution, if you can call them a competitor, because they are significantly smaller. But Playtech have been trying to get into the US for years, and they haven't been able to establish a foothold yet. Evolution is in such a strong position. Again, they have grip on the operators. Evolution are by far the most safe live studio to work with in terms of connectivity and uptime and just quality of product and so on. Now obviously on the RNG side as well, they have some strong brands with Red Tiger, NetEnt, and now Big Time Gaming since about half a year back. But what I think is they need to prove themselves now on the RNG side, because from a year ago where they acquired NetEnt, then they haven't been able to grow the revenues in the RNG side of things, and NetEnt has been stagnant for many years. They had their peak in the early 2010s, but since then they have been stagnant, and it's now up to Evolution to turn that around. And so far, a year later, they haven't been able to do that. And I think the next quarterly report is going to be interesting to see if the numbers are still stagnant, because in the last quarter is where Evolution have now started to push out they have started to roll out their product plan that they set when they took NetEnt over. So you will now start to see the results of the likes of Todd Haushalter and his team putting his magic over the RNG games essentially. So we'll see some interesting numbers here in the next quarterly report, and I would still think that it's going to take longer time to steer the ship around. There's going to be a couple of mistakes. There's going to be trial and errors as Evolution with their live experience is trying to do RNG games in combination with the teams of Red Tiger and NetEnt and Big Time Gaming. And so we might see a couple of stagnant quarters still, and we might see some failures in the games. But then eventually, I'm sure they'll be able to create some hit games as well. So yeah, expectations are very high. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in the next quarterly report, specifically because Evolution has been one of the losers as well here in the last couple of weeks since the news of Netherlands comes out. They have lost about 18% of their market cap on the stock market, and for seemingly no reason, to be honest. And so the next quarterly report will be very interesting if they can continue their growth, and especially in the US market. So those will be my humble analysis.
just staying with the topic of try and error and mostly error. By beginning of this week, we've all been facing the massive non-availability of Facebook. And
Right.
but besides Facebook, which is just something which most of us probably don't understand, running a database with billions of customers, having all the verticals streaming into one platform. So this might be a little bit of too far away for us. But one thing we've seen as well has been a Twitch hack. So what has happened on the Twitch end? What has been the hack about, and are there any further insights you can walk us through?
Yeah, I mean, we are talking here about one of the biggest leaks ever. I mean, this is massive news in the tech world, and this touches the iGaming industry, of course, because the gambling streamers is one of the biggest category on Twitch. So what has happened? Well, there's been Twitch has been getting a lot of flack from their own community lately, and the reason for this is that there's a lot of trolls and nefarious kids on Twitch. At the end of the day, it's most users are kids on Twitch, and there's been these really nefarious and nasty hate rates, as it's called, where basically there's a function on Twitch that when you watch a stream and it's about to end, the streamer can send their users to another channel, right? So that the viewers can continue watching and keep them on the platform. This is great feature because it helps streamers to kind of cross over with their communities to help each other to build an audience, and obviously the audience stays engaged and so on. But it's also being used for this really toxic reason, which is that streamers they target like marginalized streamers, and it usually targets like gay people, or it targets black people and so on, where a streamer will send his audience to a channel just to spam hate in the channel, and it's really nefarious and really nasty. So the community has been demanding Twitch to act, and Twitch has been not very responsive. They haven't been acting. They have been kind of implementing new chat filters, because you would write nasty words, but you would just circumvent the words with a dot or just another letter or something like that, and obviously the meaning is still clear, and so this hate has been able to go on. And to Twitch defense, I guess it's just very difficult to moderate a chat in real time. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of channels, and it's difficult to moderate channels which doesn't have any viewers, but the larger point is still, I think, that social media is unregulated to this point. And you mentioned here the Facebook downtime that also happened earlier in the week, which was it was a bliss, to be honest with you. No Facebook, no Instagram, no WhatsApp for a day, and the world became a little bit better for it, I think. But taking that aside, at the same time, what happened is that there was a Facebook whistleblower, an employee within Facebook, who came out with basically accusing Facebook for hiding their own research, which was saying that using Facebook, using social media is detrimental to the mental health of young people. And it's something that we all know. I mean, scrolling the endless feed, seeing people's perfect lives, it's just going to have a detrimental effect on your mental health. We know it. It's intuitive. We can feel it. But Facebook have been researching this and come to the same conclusion, but they haven't been honest with the results. They have been hiding this result. And so there was a whistleblower who went to the US officials, essentially, with the documents, with the proof, and she's been testifying now in the Senate, I believe, basically spilling the beans here. So it goes to the larger point of social media has to become regulated. And if anyone knows about regulation, it is the iGaming industry, right? We know what it means to navigate a heavy regulated landscape, and everyone knows that, of course, the gambling industry should be regulated. Of course, we shouldn't be able to let underage people play casino. Of course, we should understand that there are people who are not able to control their gambling, and they need to be protected. Of course, we understand this, and of course, we also understand that there will be nefarious players if there is no regulation. So there is a lot of good companies out there that are trying to operate in an ethical way, but there is also a lot of nefarious players that would want to operate in an unregulated landscape and just to earn as much money as they can. And we are going full circle in a lot of sense here with Twitch, because as a starting point here, again, Twitch experienced this hack, and it was basically a hacker who hacked the entirety of Twitch. Essentially, all the logs, the source code of the entire site, internal projects that has been worked upon that has been secret up until this point has been leaked. How much money has the streamers earned? This information has been leaked, and a lot of other information as well. And the hacker went out on 4chan, which is this anonymous chat board, and basically explained the reason for this. And that is just what we talked about here before. He said that the Twitch community is a cesspool, and he is joining this movement of Twitch needs to change, essentially. And Twitch are being targeted for this reason, or with this leak. And it doesn't end there either, because there's other news that are related to Twitch and gambling that came out in the last couple of days here as well, and that also touches on this, regulated versus unregulated space, which is the fact that there is a 6-part mini documentary that is being released at the moment. The first part has been released, and it's basically one of the major streamers in the Twitch community. He's doing an investigation, his own investigation, into the fact that many of the most popular gaming streamers, like these Counter-Strike streamers and Fortnite streamers, seemingly have much more money to spend than what they should have, according to the numbers of streams that they have and so on. And some of these streamers have been starting to do gambling streams recently. And there are a couple of gambling sites which they promote, and one of them being a crypto site called Roobet, so ROOBET. They are a major sponsor of some of the major mainstream Twitch streamers like Aiden Ross, and this particular documentary is targeting Steve Will Do It. So if you go on YouTube and you put Steve Will Do It, you'll basically see one of the most popular streamers on Twitch, who also releases YouTube videos and so on. And so here it becomes interesting. So Roobet and some of these other crypto gambling sites that are active on Twitch to promote gambling are completely unregulated. Completely unregulated. You don't need any KYC to sign up to these sites, and you can just send crypto into your account. You cannot be traced who you are gambling, and so most of these streamers they predominantly have an underage viewership, right? So someone estimated that Aiden Ross, who is very, I mean, we are a different generation now, Nico, but this Aiden Ross is a household name in the US. He cannot go out on the street. He's so famous amongst the kids. So they estimated he has like probably 90% of his community is underage, and he is actively promoting gambling essentially to these unregulated crypto sites. And so there is this really interesting documentary now that is looking into this and trying to figure out who are the people behind Roobet, and it's very, very interesting. I'm gonna see if I can quickly find the name of it. So if you go on YouTube and you search Steve Will Do It, Steve Will Do It's Dark Secret, and then you'll see Roobet's House of Cards, episode 1. It's a 15-minute episode, and it's very interesting. I recommend everyone to check this out. I mean, it's a really well edited and put together first part of this 6-part documentary series that is going to look into this more closer. And if I would give my spin to it and just quick analysis, I would say that, the crypto space is so new. The Twitch space is so new. And there is so many young people in this space who are trying to make a break. And they're starting project left, right, and center without understanding the implications, without understanding how this affects people's lives and so on. They just want to kind of make quick money. And the seemingly Roobet, the guys behind it are seemingly quite young, how would you say, naive owners who don't really know much about anything else than they've been at they were able to put this project together unregulated and so on. But you have to expect that this will obviously come back hard to them. I mean, you don't want to be located in the US while operating an illegal crypto site targeting American players. I mean, if there's anything we learned from Black Friday, I mean, we've been in the industry for long enough to remember this, is that when the hammer comes down in the US, it comes down hard, right? And so to summarize everything, I mean, Twitch is going through a lot of controversy at the moment. The community is seemingly turning their back. At the same time, these streamers some streamers are being nefarious. Some nefarious players are entering this space as well, operating these illegal gambling sites, and it just puts an egg in the face of the iGaming industry as well. When there are other players who is trying to make to do things in the right way.
Yeah, interesting topic. And as you already mentioned, right? Black Friday, the US state authorities, they don't play around, right? Once they are fed up with something, they will just for sure put an end to things. And then it ain't fun at all for each and everyone, not aiming for a quick buck, but aiming for a reliable market. And this will for sure happen, first of all, to the social media entities, to the girl actually testifying what she, and she has proof of her arguments, right? And then the Twitch league as well. But I'm pretty sure this ain't the end of it. This ain't the end of it. And it's up to us. It's up to the industry being able to regulate itself, to actually come up with a solution, as we have been dealing with for quite a long time, for quite often. As you can see, that usually regulation happens on a state by state or country by country side, and our industry is able to navigate through all this regulation and still be a reliable company, or to offer reliable company, and also to offer reliable player protection as well.
Yeah. We were joking, me and Igor, my friend, here the other day. We were saying that the clearly, so the social media platform needs to be regulated, and I mean we all know that it's a clear as day, so to say. And who better to consult in this regulation than contacting the gambling industry professionals here. We can give incredible advice for how this space should be regulated and still be able to function. Because if there's anything that's been shown during these last couple of years, is that the iGaming industry is very resilient. We'll find a way, and so will the social media space at the end of the day. Even if we put really hard regulations and strict regulations on this space, that will be detrimental to their revenue. It takes some time, and you'll be able to adapt and so on, and then you can continue to do business, but hopefully in a more ethical and positive way. So the door is open for the US regulators, for the social media industry to contact the gambling industry, and maybe we will be the unexpected hero for once.
But just staying in the US, and talking about heavyweights, DraftKings and FanDuel, they have been pretty much leading the pack for quite a long time. And for September, they combined 59% of the overall betting app downloads in the US. So we can see the impact of these two heavyweights in the overall US markets, right? Starting off with the daily fantasy sports, getting into the sports betting market as well. Of course, within sports betting, the regulation works a little bit different with respect to the age you're able or you must have. Sports betting is you're considered as fully aged as soon as you're 21. Daily fantasy sports you're able to use while you're already 18 years of age. So it's a difference of 3 years within the age as well. But there you can see the power of these two heavyweights already. And if there's someone already being able to navigate on a state-by-state basis, it's at least these two, who are considered as the new age of gaming and gambling providers, as they entered the space already with the daily fantasy sports offerings, and now becoming the sports betting companies as well. And once you gained the trust of the customers, you're able to add different verticals to your offerings as well.
Exactly. I mean, the because of it, like my friend James King, who is presenting at iGaming Next in a couple of weeks, he is going to make this point very clear that the iGaming industry is about to go mainstream. More and more household brands are entering the mix, and also personalities, celebrities, and so on. There was a partnership between BetMGM and Bill Burr recently here, which is one of the most famous comedians in the world, who is going to promote BetMGM through his podcast. Also, I don't know if there's any space geeks out there, but there was the 4 crew who went up to space a couple of weeks ago through Elon Musk initiative to send an all civilian crew to space. They flew to space for 3 days, came back safely, and one of the crew members placed the first ever bet in space. Also on BetMGM here, the captain of that mission. So more and more these initiatives are happening that are targeting in the mainstream, and more brands, like we said. There's Foxbet have entered the mix. Our friend Daniel Gratzner obviously is pulling in MaximBet, and what we spoke about here before the podcast now, Nico, is that Disney is entering the mix here with targeting sports betting, and we were speculating as are we gonna see MickeyMouseBet.com perhaps, or I don't know. What do you think?
First of all, these rumors have been floating around for years already, right? As it possibly is just one logical step, and for Disney as well. And the CEO, Bob Chapek, he was speaking at a Goldman Sachs investor conference mid of September. I don't know the exact date, but it should be around 21st, 22nd, 23rd of September. And he specifically outlined that Disney is, of course, having a look at the sports betting industry as well. Specifically, and he named, okay, first of all, our business partners are eyeing on the sports betting industry. Business partners are the NFL, MLB, NHL, and all the broadcast rights they already have and hold for the ESPN entity as well. Then, of course, the overall perception of the gaming industry in the US is changing from pretty much seen as the bad and ugly part, the devil part, if you want to call it in that specific way. And based on the overall market power which Disney has, we're speaking about 174 million subscribers across their services and 14.9 million subscribers for the ESPN Plus offerings. Of course, they are eyeing on that industry as well, as soon as the overall perception actually changes. There was a friend of mine actually stating, Jens Bader, he's in the industry, in the gaming industry from a payment perspective for quite a long time, at least 15 years of age. And he remembered quite clearly that as soon as Disney found out that the business of a partner is linking or is in touch with gambling industry, they stop the cooperation. So as soon as Disney has been aware of anything of a business partner being related to gaming, they stop the cooperation. So this is where they are coming from. And as of now, they are specifically eyeing towards the gaming industry. There's a rumor going around that they are already in talks with 888 Holdings, sub-licensing the exclusive right to offer sports bet in the ESPN area. And they're talking about a deal worth $3 billion. They also might set up their own sports betting company as well. So for sure, we will see a move of Disney, and they have deep pockets. they have pretty deep pockets. So maybe they will buy into a sports betting company and relabel it as Mickey Mouse Bet.
I hope I will see that day, Nico. To be honest with you, I really, really hope I'll see the day where Mickey Mouse Bet comes to life. I'll be the first customer. But I think this is a point that solidifies this larger trend, which is the fact that, you know, going back a year, the COVID happened, and all of a sudden the land-based casinos in the US panicked into securing an online gambling offering. But what we see now is that it's the media houses that are entering the mix, and it makes so much sense if you think about it. That if you are if you have ESPN, you will have this massive demographic of users who will stream sports on their ESPN Plus platform. And why wouldn't you flip the switch and just offer sports bet to this demographic? There's a very niche demographic who is purposely going to seek themselves to DraftKings and Bet365 and the William Hills and so on to place bets. That's just the way it is. You know, we to seek your way into a platform for this specific action that you want to take, which is sports betting, is a very purposeful funnel into actually go into wager a sports bet. But what the media houses are now doing is that they are putting the content in front of you, which everyone is interested in, and then they are asking you, oh, by the way, do you want to place a sports bet? And that is going to lead to a much bigger potential user base will actually become activated in this field. And that's where the opportunity lies for the media players. We coined this expression last week, right? Come for the content and stay for the betting.
Exactly.
Not the other way around, right?
Exactly.
And that's where the media houses have their advantage. And that's why we see the likes of Endeavor, Disney, Dazen and others jumping on this opportunity now to activate a completely new demographic into the sports betting market. And then it's just one step further to then offer casino and poker and the other products to cross-sell those, because we all know that those are the most profitable services. Just like what PokerStars did when they pulled in a massive demographic of poker players, and then they cross-sold casino after a couple of years with StarsBet. So I'll leave you with that.
And if you just take a look at the overall food chain of a service you offer based on a subscription model, right? So Disney Plus, also ESPN Plus, you already have paying customers, right? Their subscription happens on a month by month basis. So the overall subscription is working. You just use your credit card, and then your subscription works as long as payment goes through. Pretty simple. So if you just want to offer one more thing, as an example, sports betting, you just need to update your KYC process, right? As of now, you can just, subscribe to ESPN Plus or Disney Plus, having a valid email address and having a valid payment method, right? As long as this one is working, you are able to sign up. So just adding the KYC that the email address darkwingduck@gmail.com is linked to Pierre Lindh or to Nico Jansen, and then the guy or girl just needs to prove the identity. This is just one step, and there are great service providers who help you out with this one. So you just need to add one more thing, and you're able to diversify your portfolio, your offerings to the customer significantly, right? And of course, having the Netflix, having the Endeavors, having the Amazon Primes on our minds, this is the competition Disney, etc., is facing, and whoever is able to switch the to switch the trick and will be able to offer sports betting, reliable sports betting, to their customers as well. This is just the next step to actually do. And as the companies we're talking about, they are all stock listed. So as soon as we will see one move of one company, the owners will for sure push the content providers towards, why ain't you offering sports betting as well? And this is what your shareholders want you to do.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to actually, do as your shareholders need you and want you to actually do.
Exactly. That's completely right, Nico. And then there's just one step further before you go to ESPN Plus, and you'll see Evolution's live tables options there as well. But maybe that's a bit further in the future. But you never know.
You never know.
You never know. So, Nico, what do you say? We just passed the hour mark here today. I like that when we started planning these sessions that we were saying, maybe let's keep them to 15 minutes. How much can there be to talk about? But this industry never sleeps, and this industry never gets boring. That is an absolute truism. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of things to talk about in the next couple of weeks as well. But it's been fantastic today, Nico, to talk to you like always.
Exactly. And just remember, we just covered 1 week. We just covered 1 week, right? It's not like, this has happened within the last month. It's just 1 week. And as you have said, right, we were aiming for 15 minutes, and we didn't even touch down or zoom into a lot of the topics which just have happened within the one week. So it's just crazy. We could easily add 2 more hours by switching over to other topics, and it's just why the both of us and so many others just love our industry so much.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more, Nico. And I guess we'll have to continue these discussions over a margarita at the beach, like we did last week, and trying to stay away from being sick. I guess the temperatures are not the best at the beaches over there in Germany, but.
Exactly.
Nico, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Stay safe, everyone. Stay committed. Stay hard. Work hard, and we'll see you next week again. Thank you, Nico.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Pierre. Thanks for having me.